Hello Year 9 and welcome to today's lesson. Today we'll be looking at Stalin and how he became the leader of the USSR. So let's start off with Stalin's early life. Now Stalin was born in the Russian Empire, in a country that today we call Georgia. At the time this was part of one of the biggest empires on earth, the Russian Empire, that ran all the way from bordering China through to bordering Germany. So it spans Asia and Europe. You can see from the map on the left hand side that it was absolutely massive. And Georgia is this little country there in what we now know as the Caucasus, close to the Black Sea. So it was quite an out the way little part of this massive Russian Empire. Now, at the time, Russia was run by a king. Now, the Russian word for king is Tsar, so we call it the Tsarist Empire. Now, Stalin, although we know him as Stalin, that's not his actual name. His actual name is Joseph. Okay, there's his name written down for you there. He was born in 1879 and he was born into quite a poor family. His mother was a washerwoman and his father was a cobbler. Now, cobbler is somebody who makes shoes. Now, Stalin had quite a miserable upbringing, really. His dad was an alcoholic and was abusive, would regularly beat Stalin and Stalin's mother. Stalin caught smallpox when young, and this left him scarred. This is smallpox. That's a modern image of it. It's a bit like chicken pox, but chicken pox that can kill you. It also left him with a slightly deformed left arm. Now, Stalin's mum was really important to him, and she was very religious. So she wanted the best for her son, and at this time, the best thing to do was to join the Orthodox Church, become a priest, and then Stalin or Joseph would get an education and get a respectable place in society. So Joseph's mum sent him off to become a priest and study in the Georgian capital of Tiflis. Now, he was bright, he did well, but whilst he was there at this thing called a seminary, so that's a priest training college, he started to read forbidden books. Books that taught him about communism. Now, this was forbidden. You weren't allowed to read about that in Russia at this time. So he got thrown out of the seminary, perhaps for reading these forbidden books, or he actually didn't turn up to his final exam, so it's not clear why he got thrown out, but he did get thrown out. He then became a revolutionary. So he decided he didn't like the way that Russia was run under the Tsar, and he wanted to get rid of the Tsar and turn Russia into a communist nation. Now, in order to do that, he joined the Bolshevik Party. And the Bolsheviks were a communist party led by Vladimir Lenin. Now, if you look at the bottom picture there, the man waving his hand, he is Lenin. He's going to be a very important figure in 20th century history. So, Stalin ran off and became a revolutionary, a member of the Bolsheviks. And he did all kinds of illegal things to help the Bolsheviks. He started organising strikes, going on protests. He even became a bank robber in order to fund the Bolshevik Party. Now, he gave up his name of Joseph and he started to be known as Stalin, which means steel in Russia. So it's like a code name that he chose. Now, all of this revolutionary illegal activity got him into trouble with the Russian or Tsarist police, and Stalin was soon forced to go underground. He had to hide from the Tsarist secret police. Eventually, however, he was arrested and he was sent into exile in Siberia in 1910. Now, what that means is he was sent to live in some of the harshest Russian environments. Siberia is really, really cold, and it's what they did in Russia with anyone who was kind of challenging the political system at the time. So, using the information, could you now please copy down these questions and answer each below? So that takes us through Stalin's early life. We're now going to skip on a bit and we're going to think about how he became the leader of Russia. Now, in October 1917, there was a revolution in Russia. The Bolsheviks, these communists, came to power. This meant Russia was now led by Lenin, the leader of the Bolsheviks. And again, we can see Lenin here in this photograph. He's sat on the wheelchair. Russia was renamed the USSR, or the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Stalin was given a position as the General Secretary of the Bolshevik Party, so he was starting to rise up within the Bolshevik Party, but he wasn't yet the leader of Russia. That was Lenin. Didn't stay that way for long, however. Lenin became ill, and that photograph that you can see there is him during his illness. So he had a series of strokes in 1924, and he became increasingly unwell and unable to govern. So Lenin ended up dying in 1924. Then it wasn't clear who should now run Russia. Which Bolshevik should take over after Lenin? Now, there were a couple of different Bolsheviks who could have done it. Stalin was one of them, because he was the General Secretary of the Bolshevik Party. There was Bukharin, Zinoviev, Kamenev, but in particular, this man down here in that second photograph. His name is Leon Trotsky. Now, Leon Trotsky was a great intellectual, a great thinker, and he had been an ally of Lenin and had helped Lenin hold on to power in Russia during the Russian Civil War in the early 1920s, just after the revolution. So Trotsky was a really big player, and it seemed like Trotsky should have been Lenin's successor. But Stalin was a great political manoeuvrer. He managed to outmaneuver all the other potential Bolsheviks who could have been Lenin's successor, and he became the leader of Russia. Now we're going to be analysing why it was Stalin and not Trotsky who became the leader of Russia. So I'd like you to read the information on the Word document on Show My Homework. And then I want you to sort each bullet point into one of three categories. Did Stalin become the leader of Russia because of his strengths, because of the weaknesses of Trotsky, or simply through luck? Lastly then, I'd like you to think about which was the most important reason. Luck, Stalin's strengths, or Trotsky's weaknesses? Write me a P paragraph to explain. If you'd like to know more about Stalin's early life and his rise to power, watch this YouTube clip.